Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of DiabloCast, your Diablo 3 podcast. It is Friday, March 9th. And last week I said it was Friday and we did the podcast on Thursday. So I listened to that and I just realized that I was a big idiot.
The funny thing is I listened to it too and I didn't even think twice about it.
So yes, it is actually Friday and this is actually another episode of DiabloCast. And as always, I'm your host, Dennis Force Duhamel, messing things up. Can't even do an intro right. And as you heard, we've got Kevin Six and Carlino here this week. Say hello, Kevin.
What's going on, everybody? Dennis, how you doing?
Yeah, good. No Jesse Cox this week. I wasn't able to get a hold of him today. I'm assuming what happened was he probably sent me a Skype message. But since I wasn't on Skype, and since he's not currently on Skype, I don't get it. I hate that about Skype. It's the stupidest thing. Yeah. Well,
that's really weird.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all. So, anyways, Jesse's not here today. Unfortunately enough, I'm assuming he sent me a message letting me know why. I just don't know, so I can't give you guys a reason. He's playing hooky. That's his problem. Today we will be discussing
Dog ate his homework.
Beta contest is over. I just wanted to make a quick announcement of that. Book of Cain 2, which is something we should have talked about last week. Diablo 3 has been added to those of you who have the WoW Annual Pass. We'll be making quick mention of Gold Find, Magic Find, and XP change, which is actually part of the patch notes as well. We'll be talking about boss viability for a moment, release date rumors, all rubbish like always, and then of course beta patch number 14, all the changes that came with it, additions, subtractions, multiplications, and division. Let's jump into the first. That's really bad. Let's jump into the first thing here. The beta contest, for me, is over. I've still been getting people asking, hey Force, how's your beta contest going? Or, hey Force, why haven't you released any keys in the past couple of days? Well, the contest ended on Sunday, and we did our best to broadcast that to people, but I guess some of you didn't get the memo. So if you go to the website right now, forcestrategygaming.com, the layout from the beta contest is still there, but if you read the text, it lets you know the key giveaway is over. And it also, of course, lets you know that we have got a new website launching soon. I initially planned to do it at the end of this week. Unfortunately, stuff happened. I know. Don't worry, it's coming. All right, I swear to all of you, it's coming next week.
So is Diablo 3.
No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad because we're at a position where the layout of the site is all figured out. And everything is working structurally. It's just about throwing content up on the site. Like we got strategy content that we want to put up for StarCraft and Diablo. So that's still just being filled up so that when you guys, when the site launches and people come to it, it's not going to be just empty. We want there to be stuff in there for people to see.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's kind of where we're at the moment. But yes, it is coming. Don't worry, it'll be here soon enough. But yes, the beta contest is also over. That was part of it. Now, the next thing that we wanted to make mention of as well, Kevin, you had said this was something that we kind of bypassed last week. There was actually a little bit of discussion on the forums about whether or not people would be interested in a Book of Cain 2. And if Book of Cain 2 came out, what did people want to see? And our good friend Kevin here actually left a response on the forums. So I'll leave you to it here, Kevin.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think it's pretty interesting. Obviously, a Book of Cain 2 should include the events of Diablo 3. Pretty self-explanatory. There were a couple of things that I thought that they could expand upon, and one of them being the whole thing about Trag'Oul. I'm assuming you read the Book of Cain probably a while back. Actually, I remember you doing the video on it.
Yeah, that was a while. That was the fall, though, wasn't it? When did that come out? November?
Yeah. Well, yeah, like the winter. It was the end of December, beginning of December.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, Trag'Oul, they had he's the dragon, of time, I guess. He's kind of like, his image is of constellations or whatever, and you can't really see him. He's not like a physical being. He's more like spiritual. He's in his own dimension and everything, and that's where the whole Sin War series, he's part of the Sin War series. So they have this beautiful, 2-page spread, and it sounds like a Playboy magazine when I put it that way. He's got a 2-page spread right there. He's a centerpiece, centerfold, whatever. And it's only a tiny paragraph about him, so there's really not much information on him. I mean, obviously there is information out there because he was in the novels, but the Book of Cain didn't really include much, and that could just be because maybe Cain doesn't really know all that much. But there's definitely some stuff that they could expand upon specifically for Trag'Oul, and I would like to see the Book of Cain 2 acknowledge maybe him a little bit more. So we have the events of Diablo 3 and any expansions that potentially come out. We have Trag'Oul. We have, whatever happens to Hell and Heaven after the games, because Blizzard has said that this is going to be the end of the story arc for this particular point in the series.
Yeah.
So they haven't said that it's the end of the franchise, just that it's the end of this particular story arc. So maybe they go back in time, or maybe they go forward in time. And in the event that they go forward in time, fast forward a couple thousand years, maybe Deckard Cain's, descendants, whatever. My point is, they have to leave us somewhere. They have to, leave us off with something.
Right.
The game just can't end. I mean, I guess it can, but if they're doing a Book of Cain, they're looking to expand the lore. So if they did that, I'd expect Diablo 3, some stuff about Traggle, and basically everything that happens after Diablo 3 that we should know about to gear us into whatever the next Diablo game might be.
Well,
and that's just my opinions. That's just what I think would be good in a Book of Cain 2. I mean, there were some things in the Book of Cain, the original Book of Cain, that were pretty cool, like information about each of the classes and all that, which I would also like to see about, whatever else gets added, any expansion characters and classes and their tribes and their background information. I'm assuming all that would already be in the book.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, just my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, that seems reasonable. That seems reasonable to me. Definitely, obviously, the most fundamental thing would probably be that the book should cover the Diablo 3 content, what takes place, as far as Deckard Cain ends up surviving. I don't know what's going to happen, but barring that he makes it to the end of the actual game in the lore itself, then it'd be cool if he wrote a book about his experiences for that. So yes.
Well,
go ahead.
Actually, now that you say that, it kind of just made me think about it. It would be cool to have it from Leia's perspective.
Yeah, but she can't write stuff anymore. She's got huge demon hands now that she's Diablo, so.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
You're an idiot.
Yeah, my bad.
I'm just.
Dang it.
Oh, man. Obviously, we're touching on the huge rumor that Leia might actually be Diablo at some point in the game, and if that's the case, she won't be writing any books.
Duh.
She might, put herself in a soul stone. Maybe she's in the USB soul stone and she can tell us something telepathically. I don't know what I'm even talking about. Anyways, yeah, Book of Cain 2 might be happening, and if it does, Kevin hopes that all of his hopes and desires end up being in the book. I don't know what I'm talking about. All right, so Diablo 3 has been added for those of you who are annual pass holders for World of Warcraft, and yes, I am included. Don't ask me why. I don't even play WoW anymore. But yes, Diablo 3 is now actually showing up on people's accounts. If you have the WoW Annual Pass, this is what you will see when it comes to Diablo 3. And does this mean you can download and play the game now? No, of course not. But what it means is that once the digital download is available, you'll be able to get it right away. And just another one of those, signs of release that they're gearing up. They're getting all the systems in place here to get ready for the release of the game. It's weird. It feels to me with everything that they're doing, and this included, this is like a very interesting move. Implementing this, it seems like I don't think we're going to get as much as a 2-month headway in terms of the announcement to release. I feel like it will be kind of a shorter time span. I want to guess about a month in between. But I know a lot of people were saying, well, they said they were going to give us 2 months, blah, 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 blah. They also said the beta was only going to be 6 months. So, well, actually, I guess, no, that's not really true.
I mean,
it kind of is, but not really. Because it started in September, but not really. The Friends and Family started, a month earlier?
No, a month earlier, we were at the press event.
The Friends and Family started at least, a week or 2 weeks earlier than the regular beta did.
I don't. Dang it.
Trust me, I remember because I was angry that all the Friends and Family stuff were posting content and I couldn't because I was press. I remember that period in time, and it definitely existed.
I know. Yeah, definitely. I don't remember. It was a week or two earlier. I just don't remember when it, how long a week or two earlier was.
Right.
I don't remember if it started in the beginning of September or end of September. I'm sorry. I feel like a failure because I don't remember the date, but whatever.
Well, regardless, I still think whether or not they're holding true to that or that. This is pure speculation, but I just don't have I don't believe that it is going to be a full 2-month headway between announcement and release. I think it's going to be shorter than that, but that's just a guess, of course. So,
which would put it in April, which is a bad thing because I'll be taking finals, so they need to make it May.
Yeah, I'm sure that's how they're planning their release schedule, Kevin. I am certain of it.
Yeah. Arizona State University has finals the end of April, so we obviously can't release the game. Dang it.
All right. So again, it's not really anything. There's nothing you can do with it, but the game is there if you're a WoW annual pass holder, and once it is available for download, you'll be able to get it right away. Next, we will be talking about. No, we're skipping that. We didn't want to talk about the Gold Find and Magic Find until the end, right?
Yeah, we can hit on that when we go over the patch notes.
All right, fine. Let's talk about momentarily boss viability. So I do believe there was just a little bit of discussion. Bashok mentioned here, and we will go straight to the blue post if my internet will work. Here it is. The designers have been working on and testing a system that actually ties the rare champion pack kills and boss kills quite nicely. It seems like it's solid enough for us to talk about the intent and goals, even though it's still in testing. We can look into sharing more about it soon. Blah. And then edited for timeline clarity. That's really funny, actually.
Yeah, so he threw in the soon.
Yeah, that is too funny. So that's an interesting idea, though, tying in rare and champion mobs into boss kills. What do you think, Kevin? Any speculation?
I mean, if I understood that correctly, that just means that there will be packs of rares and champions near bosses. Is that how you understood that?
I think it has more to do with like functionality and what is actually going to be occurring with these rares and champions. Not that they're just going to be in the vicinity of bosses. I mean, let me just once more over the sentence. The designers have been working on and testing a system that actually ties the rare and champion pack kills to boss kills quite nicely.
Wasn't too sure what he meant by that. To me, it sounded like, I don't know. Maybe in order to fight these packs of rares and champions, you have to use the same maybe tactics that you would with a boss. It's confusing.
Well, I mean that could be one way to view it. That's.
I mean, tell me how you think tell me what you think he means. I mean, I would love to give my comment on it. I just know that that's what he said, and I have no idea what he means.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you said sounds reasonable. To be honest with you, I think that sounds like a reasonable thing. It could be. I don't know that it's going to be so much about mechanics, but there's going to be a correlation. Now, I also do wonder if it means, all right, so you've got rare and champion mobs in an area, a specific zone that's leading up to a boss fight. Maybe once you kill that boss, I don't know. I'm
it's confusing, right? I mean, I definitely knew that I wanted to talk about this. I just didn't know how or why. I don't even really know what it means.
Then why would you want us to talk about this? This is the problem.
Because it seemed important. It was an announcement about an announcement. Obviously, those are important.
For mature.
Yeah.
All right, next topic.
What is, another thing, too, to consider is that it could also have something to do with the level of the champion kills and how difficult they are in correlation to the boss, Like, possibly, I don't know, thinking about you have a specific boss in an area and the champion kills will be as difficult. Maybe that's how they're tied in. Maybe it is in the terms of a difficulty sense. Like not necessarily the specific strategy or whatever for fighting small groups as opposed to a boss. Because we assume that the boss is going to be more of an epic endeavor. Or at least we hope so anyways, right? So
right, exactly.
In fact, I remember it wasn't, I don't know when it was, but I do remember them talking about the loots for the rare and champion mobs and how those are actually supposed to be pretty close to what you're getting at bosses, if not equal. Was it equal?
No, it was higher. They want mobs or they want rares and champions to drop better loot than bosses, and the reason for that being was so that you're not farming the boss over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Now you're forced to run out in the environment and kill just regular mobs in the hopes of finding rares and champions because they drop the best loot. Yeah, so it just encourages people to farm the entire game rather than specific bosses.
Yeah, and I that could definitely be something that has to do with it as well. So, yeah.
Yep.
Possibility.
Yep.
Possibility. All right. Next up on the discussion table is going to be the release date rumor. I know it seems like we're burning through these topics, but we're going to be talking probably quite a bit about the beta patch number 14. So there was a rumor about a release date on a French site, and I mentioned this in my Diablo. No, it's an Italian site. Is it?
Yeah. I think it was the MMOIT or whatever.
Yeah. Right. there was a rumor of a release date of April 17th. And, well, it's a rumor. I don't understand why people are still...
I know, right?
This
I
is
feel
still
like
there are these
time
rumors,
again.
and this stuff happens all the time, and there's so much hoopla around it, and I have to just remind people that companies will just make this up. Retailers and websites, they'll just make this stuff up to drive traffic. Tomorrow, actually, I'm going to make up a release date. I will say that I have a reliable source, and I will just make up a release date, and it'll drive a ton of traffic to my website. It'll be great for me, and everyone will be tricked.
Yeah,
I just don't understand.
front
Like, I
threads
don't get it.
everywhere.
Why people are still. I mean, I understand. Like, all right, we are actually getting closer to the release date. As time goes on, we inevitably get closer to the actual release date.
So
And
eventually somebody's
as we get closer and closer, anything that pops up, people love to grab onto, and I understand that. But man, why can't we just wait until Blizzard says something before everyone freaks out?
Right.
I don't get it.
Right. I mean, so again, a rumor is just a rumor. Blizzard hasn't said anything. Like, retailers aren't going to know before we do. We're going to know all at the same time because Blizzard's going to have to announce it.
Also, this is something else that I needed to make mention of, specifically when we're talking about retailers and any dates that they may publish. From what I understand, the way like a lot of places their system works, in order to have pre-orders, you need to have some release date entered. So what will happen is that if a retailer wants to start taking pre-orders, their system literally forces them to put in a release date, because they're not going to say, yeah, take pre-orders for a game that's not even coming out, you know?
Right, exactly. Again, I mean, like we said this months ago, it's just so that they can gauge the amount of pre-orders they have. And I didn't actually know that part, but it makes sense. Like, if they don't enter a release date, then they can't gauge the amount of pre-orders that they're going to have to field. So, I mean, you know, it just kind of harkens back to what we said months and months and months ago about the beta.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I left you speechless.
What? No, I thought you were still talking. You just cut yourself
No,
off.
that was my point. Sorry.
No, that definitely, and it's just the way it is. If a company wants to start doing pre-orders, they have to put in some sort of a date. So, we don't have to assume that it's the actual release date. It's just a company saying, "Hey, you can pre-order the game now here," and you know. Someone mentioned in the chat that Amazon put the date up. Do you know that at the beginning of last summer, Amazon had a date up?
So did Best Buy and Walmart. And in fact, I think the release date was like February of last year.
Yeah. Well, good old reliable Amazon.
Yep, there you go.
I know like these huge sites and Best Buy and all these places, they'll say this stuff, but man, it's not. Blizzard will tell us. And you know, the thing is though, because I say that, but at some point it is certainly possible that, you know, everyone will find out about the release date, and then Blizzard will say, all right, well, you guys can't announce anything until we say something on this day, and someone will let it slip.
Right, exactly.
So
like I said.
At some point, eventually, sure, someone's probably going to say an announcement or release date, and it'll be right. That is going to happen. And that's probably part of the reason why everyone freaks out about this stuff, because they're thinking, now could be the time. This could be it. It's actually right. This is real information. This guy heard from his friend Bob, and Bob knows this guy at Blizzard who once ate lunch with Jay Wilson, so this is legit stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, but sure, at some point, I almost guarantee that a release date will get leaked like a day early or something. I just don't understand why we have to freak out about it. So many people were like so angry.
Even when the release date does get announced, it's still going to be like a month away at least.
Exactly.
Like if they tell us right now the game's coming out in April, well, cool, game's coming out in April. It's only March 9th. Like, we still have a solid 3, 4, up to almost 7 weeks.
But people are excited, Kevin, and they just want to know as soon as possible.
I'm definitely excited too, and I would love to know, but I would also love to know that it's not coming out in April because I have to take finals.
Actually, ideally, being as impatient for things as I am, I want to know the day before release and not a moment sooner.
Yeah, and seriously.
So that I don't have to freak out.
How awesome would that be? How awesome would that be? Because, I mean, people would go nuts. Like, the game would come out tomorrow. There'd be so much buzz and hype over the game. Like, that would be cool.
Yeah, Never
That would
gonna
be-
happen. Just
that would be classy
absolutely positively will
and
never
completely
happen.
unrealistic. Exactly.
But that would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Hell yeah.
It'd be a lot of fun. It's just funny. It's just funny. And this is not something that's exclusive at all to Diablo or Diablo fans. This happens a lot with games. Companies will just say, "Oh, the game's coming out on this day," and then all their fans of that game just have a heart attack. And man, we're getting used, guys. We're getting played here by these big companies. You gotta just not fall for these tricks, this trickery here. It's awful. It really is. Beta patch 14. Jumping right into
Here's
it.
where the bulk of it's gonna be.
This is what we will be talking about. Man, oh man, just lots of stuff. So much. I guess we can just run down the list and we'll talk on it briefly. First one, and probably the thing that everyone's really excited about, or at least a certain portion of Diablo fans are, is hardcore mode is now available in the beta. And in addition to that, you unlock it upon reaching level 10 with at least one character. Now, in the past, the way it was designed was that you had to actually complete the entire game on normal difficulty before you could unlock hardcore mode. But now you just have to get up to level 10. Now, I have to ask here, why?
I assume we have this. Yeah, same
Why
question.
level 10? What? How? You know, logically, I understood. They want me to complete normal so I know all of the encounters, right? That's
Not only that, but they want, then you get to play through the storyline.
right. So logically, having that restriction made sense. Now, were they to go the complete opposite and be like, all right, we are going to give you the disclaimer, and they do give you a disclaimer for hardcore, and they say, man, if you die, you're done. But if they want us to complete normal so that we know all the boss encounters, we know the story, and then we can play hardcore, that makes sense. I'm not saying I agree with it, but it makes sense. It's logical. If they want to just have hardcore available the second you play, that is fine too. You know, if they're just like, all right, we want to give you the option to play hardcore as soon as possible. This seems like a weird
An inconvenience.
Medium.
I completely agree. Like, I
to
have the
level
same
10?
exact stance.
Like, what is significant about level 10 that I have to reach before I'm able to to play hardcore mode? I just don't get it. I don't get that restriction.
Yeah, I mean, previously, we were both just saying it was logical. It made sense. Now it seems like an inconvenience. Like, I feel like they should have either stuck to what they said originally and made it forced you to complete normal, or just allowed it right off the bat without having to do anything.
Right.
Because you're right, like level 10, that just doesn't really make sense. I mean, obviously some people are going to be happy about this, but at the same time, like, why? Like, you're going to make me get to level 10 just so I can start a completely new character, so I'm going to have to spend a half hour to get level 10 to unlock hardcore. To spend a half hour to get back to level 10 on the character I want to play.
Level 10, yeah. I mean, honestly, though, that's like, because this will be obviously in your first playthrough, because once you do it once, you're all set. From that point forward, you can always you have to get one character to level 10, and in your first playthrough, I'm actually assuming that it'll take about an hour. So they're basically saying play for an hour, and then we'll let you play. So maybe this is just like, all right, get a little used to the game, get comfortable with the game, and then we will let you kill your character permanently if you so desire.
Yeah, but still, like, if I just spent an hour playing my character, why would I get off to start a new character?
Well, I mean, obviously for the reason that anyone plays hardcore. I mean, that would be.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, it's still an inconvenience. Like, they were still going to, if they really wanted to play hardcore that much, they were going to have to play through normal.
Well, now the one amendment that I want to make to this is I do want to mention the fact that we have been told that shortly after the beta content ends, which is around level 9. There is a huge major twist in the story. That is basically the reason that the beta stops where it stops, because after the Skeleton King is defeated, there's like a huge plot twist that takes place. And that puts us at around level 10, right? So I'm thinking maybe that whatever happens storyline wise after the Skeleton King, when you're getting up to and at level 10, maybe that has something to do with why you can play hardcore then. I can't speculate as to what it would be, but if anything, the way it's looking now is, okay, they want you to play for an hour to get kind of like accustomed to the game, which is like an abridged or shorter version of what it was prior, which was playthrough normal first. So it's either they just want you to get accustomed, or they want you to at least see that huge major story switcheroo thingy after the Skeleton King before they let you play hardcore. It's one of those. I mean, it's like a combination or one of those two things. So
yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. It just feels weird. Like I was able to completely justify having to complete normal,
right,
and now it's like they're trying to compromise. But again, I feel like they should have either just allowed it right off the bat, or still force people to be normal. Because this is, I don't know, it's just kind of funky being like right in the middle. I mean, I guess what you said could potentially make sense.
Yeah,
but if I really want to do,
but even that, I'm still a little iffy on as to whether or not it makes sense to me.
And basically, what I'm saying here is like originally they had a logical reason, and now we're kind of stretching to find something. Like it's just weird. I mean, I guess those that really want to play hardcore, they're gonna have to complete normal, which would have been a couple extra hours. So I mean, good for them.
Oh, this is certainly a lot better.
But it's still weird. Is my point. Like,
yeah, no, you're right.
I get that they wanted to kind of compromise, but it's just funky. Like,
right. and that's it. If it's not the storyline thing, if they just want you to get used to the game, I'm still kind of a little iffy on that. Just because I mean, looking here, you can see I've got the big scroll of permanent death warning here that you have to accept or decline before you make a hardcore character. This exists in the game, so why you have to play for an hour before you're able to read this scroll and accept these terms is something that's just escaping me a little bit. But I mean, this could change. It could stay the same, whatever. And actually, now that we're talking on Beta Patch 14, I did want to mention it was stated on Jay Wilson's Twitter that the current iteration of the beta is what they plan to ship with. And we actually talked about this, I think, during the last beta patch, or maybe it was just even last week, how I felt like, the current skill and rune system is pretty much going to stay solidified, minus any adjustments, tweaks and changes, which did take place this week. But this is, we're getting pretty much to the position where we have the final game, a short version of it. But like all the systems and the general gameplay and functionality of the game is all pretty much in place right now. This included, evidently. So. But hardcore is there, and people have actually asked me to do hardcore playthroughs. I'll think about it. It's not like the game is hard right now. Deaths aren't really happening a lot. Pay no attention to my first Barbarian beta playthrough, where I wasn't paying attention and I just got destroyed. But it's just weird. Now, the difficulty was also tweaked, and maybe that would be a reason to justify a hardcore playthrough. Also, you can't even do it right now. The beta is a little bugged, and it's not letting anyone do anything. You can't make a hardcore character. Last time I checked, which was like 2 hours ago, you get an error message. And I checked the forums too, and a lot of people were having this issue. So,
okay.
So anyway, yeah, I don't know. Maybe might do it. Might do that. Next major thing here for the patch was cast time to resurrect a fallen ally has been increased from 1 second to 3 seconds. That's fine. That
whatever.
Doesn't bother me at all. Player-created games are now default to invite only. Check Allow Quick Join in the Social tab of the Options menu to allow your friends to join. This is fine, I suppose, but it's weird. It's like you have people on your friends list that you don't want to play with.
Right, exactly.
Basically what this is saying.
Oh, not only that, but now it's not open to the public either.
Well, I mean, you can still do that. You can still force open to public by...
Yeah, but by default it's not.
Yeah.
So, like... Battle.net's supposed to be this huge social platform, and I don't know, I just feel like it's so antisocial.
Well,
chat channels are,
Yeah, but this is just, I think this is just if people join in, because I think the problem before was people were unexpectedly getting thrown into multiplayer, because you can still join public game, right? But if you create your own game, it's not going to be like, hey, everyone can join now, But just the whole friend thing is weird to me. It's like, if someone's on my friends list, I assume that I want to play with them, but maybe people have lots of friends that they don't like, in which case you should probably prioritize who you're considering your friends, guys. This is a life lesson, not just a Diablo lesson either.
I mean, I guess, like, I don't know, if I'm trying to jump on for 5 minutes to look at something real quick, I mean, I don't know.
You don't want some idiot joining my game? Yeah. Well, I would actually be furious if people, like, oh man, if you were joining my games, that'd be awful.
Yep. I'm a horrible person. I'm a disgusting person, I know.
You have to realize, people everyone has friends that are kind of noobs, and you'll keep them on your friends list, but you don't always want to play with them. So that's probably. This is like Jay Wilson's like, I don't want to play with any of my noob friends, so we're gonna throw.
My
this
damn
into
daughters keep trying to join my games.
Bashiok keeps trying to join my games. This guy, God. All right, Magic Find, Gold Find are now shared amongst party members. This was actually talked about last week before it got implemented in the beta. So what's going to happen is the average combined value of the entire party's Magic and Gold Find applies to all players regardless of the locations in the game. Average values are not going to be displayed in the UI, which is weird. I don't know. I figured that would be something that they would be able to throw there into the UI. But what does this mean? It's pretty basic. You take your Gold Find and Magic Find plus everyone else's to get a total Gold Find for the group, and then you divide that total amongst the number of people in your group, and that's how much individually each person gets. So what this does now is it makes it so that you don't have to worry about someone leeching. Say there was 3 of you, and you've got all damage, DPS gear, you're focused on survivability and killing stuff really fast, and then one of your group members had nothing but Magic and Gold Find. Well, they wouldn't be helping a lot to kill things, but they would be getting huge bonuses. This prevents that. This prevents people from leeching off of you, basically. This is a good change. I like this.
I disagree.
Oh, well, good. Let's hear it.
I'm actually kind of glad that you think this is good. I'm taking the opposite stance. If I have 100% Magic Find and all of my party members have 0 Magic Find, why would I play in a party with them? Why wouldn't I just play by myself? I have 100% Magic Find instead of 25% Magic Find. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, by playing in a party, I'm sacrificing most of my gear, making my gear completely useless.
Well, I mean, but it also prevents people from exploiting, and that's what I think the point is, to prevent people from exploiting their group members. Like, just because you think it's okay to do no damage and take all the gear doesn't mean... I guess you know what this is, though. Honestly, this is probably just to prevent like arguments. Because
I mean, I guess. Well, but if I have 100% MF, I don't want to party with anybody with lower MF than me.
Then don't.
I mean, if I did party with... Right, but that's silly. Like, why would I care how much Magic Find somebody else has in my game? I don't. I'm just trying to kill monsters.
Well, that's the point, though, is that the more Magic Find or Gold Find or plus XP you have, the more of an attribute that you have, the more points you have allocated via gear into attributes that don't have you doing more damage, kind of makes you more of a burden on the group. Obviously, this isn't going to be the case for a good chunk of the game, but definitely looking up into Hell and Inferno, you kind of want to make sure people are maximizing DPS. Otherwise, they're not really helping.
Right. So if we get to Inferno, and I have 200% MF with 3 other party members, now everybody only has 50% MF. Why would I not just try and solo Inferno myself with 200% Magic Find?
I mean, you should.
Right. And I think this is a very, again, antisocial change. It just prevents me from wanting to play in a group or in a group of players with less Magic Find than myself.
Well, that's if your specific goal, sure, you're right. If your specific goal is to maximize Magic Find, you don't want to play in a group. That is true. That if that's your goal, I think the problem was, though, that if that was your goal and you decided you did want to play in a group, that it would be kind of I don't know. It's weird. You know what? You bring up a good point, and maybe
so do you.
maybe there's a valid argument to that. The fact that, hey man, if I want to play with Magic or Gold Find, now it's really stupid for me to group with people because it's just all it does is cut back on my chances. But maybe this is all part of the we're just one big happy family, and you should want to share. You should want to share all your Magic Find, Kevin, because on the flip side of the coin, while you're sharing your Magic Find abilities, everyone else in your group is attributing to you killing stuff faster.
If you want to look at it that way, let me keep my 200% Magic Find because the chances of me finding a better item for you are better.
But the issue is that with all your Magic Find, you're subsequently doing less damage. You agree with that, right? If you're stacking non-damage increasing gear, you're sacrificing possible damage, right?
I completely agree.
So killing stuff faster, although you have a higher percentage to get stuff from anything killed, you're also killing stuff a lot slower. So by having people in your group that kill stuff faster, I mean, for argument's sake, let's make this as simple as possible. You have 200% Magic Find increase, so whatever drops, you have a 200% increased chance to get magical items from it. Someone who doesn't have that, let's just, for flat argument's sake, say that they kill stuff 200 times faster. Or whatever, two times as fast. Maybe that's the actual conversion. So they equally have the same chance technically of getting magical items because they're killing faster than you're killing, but you have per kill a lot more. You know what I mean? Does that...
Yeah, I see exactly what you're saying, but the difference is... okay, I see... Okay, give me a sec, I gotta gather this.
Collect your thoughts, Kevin.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and it makes sense, because... like in the bigger picture, I still have the same, I guess, amount of magic find if I kill 200 monsters with 50% MF, or if I kill 50 monsters with 200% MF. I mean, I guess technically it's the same thing, although I'll be killing monsters slower, I'll have a better chance of finding better gear. Now, when I'm in a party, the difference is either my gear is useless and I have high MF, or my gear is useless and we all have low MF. Like, if I'm at a party with you, and you and I are just trying to get great items, wouldn't it make sense for me to run around behind you, let you kill everything, with me having 200% MF, giving you your good items and me my good items?
That would certainly work in a situation where you're grouped with people who you like and care to share with you, but in the random battle and experience, I don't think that will always be the case when people are
I guess that's
in pugs,
true.
you know? But no, that is true. Like in a cohesive group, and I don't feel that this was now that you mentioned that, I don't feel that this was a necessary change. But I also feel that this makes it a lot easier for pugs.
It seems situational, right? Exactly.
Like when you're grouping with random people, this is fine. You don't have to worry about some idiot like Kevin who wants to stack magic find and do no damage. You don't have to worry about someone doing that, leeching and not being a benefit to your party. You know. But yes, in like if I'm playing with my friends and we want to kind of maximize efficiency and everything, then that would make a lot of sense. You're right, Kevin. That would, but I don't know. It's just the way it is. So this is an interesting change, and I guarantee that this debate we're having right now took place in Blizzard offices. I'm sure that there was a little back and forth about whether or not this was right or it made sense, whether or not it does or does.
Yeah.
It's here. So that's what we got now. Interesting. Let us know below what you guys think about all this. I'm sure you've been screaming in the chat box as it were anyways. Skill UI. Thank God that they changed this. I was so happy when I logged in and I saw the changes that took place. They just did. They did a good job. They did a good job. I don't know if it's 100% yet, but I will say this.
Yeah, I tried doing this and I couldn't get it to work.
The current iteration of the skill system thingy is infinitely better than it was before. It is no longer super clunky. You can now swap your skills by just clicking and dragging them, which is really awesome. In addition to that, right-clicking on any skills on your hotbar will open up the skill UI. So while in elective mode, you pretty much have full mobility or full freedom to move things around how you please. In the past, if you had a skill already bound to another hotkey and you tried to bind it to another hotkey, it just literally wouldn't let you select it. Now it will just override that skill that is bound to something already. So it's a lot smoother now. It makes a lot more sense. Good job, Blizzard. Thanks for listening to DiabloCast and taking my advice into consideration. I appreciate it. Did you have anything to add to this, Kevin? I don't know what to say other than this is good. Like I'm really happy that they did that.
I'm actually logging into Diablo 3 right now to see if I can get it to work, because for some reason I could not get it to work.
Well, you still have to select elective mode, so I'm assuming that that's what you didn't.
Maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't. I thought I did. Maybe I just didn't apply it or something.
Right.
Ooh, while I'm here, actually, this reminds me. They added an account tab to the options where you can select your auction house, your region, and your locale, which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there while we're here.
Speaking of the auction house, while Kevin looks to see if he can do what everyone else can do,
I mean,
the auction house had some changes. The sell interface has been updated to better match the in-game inventory and stash. They combined the advanced and basic search features. Also, the active auctions tab will now allow users to see all active auctions, and searches for recipes and tomes have been added. Still looking, Kevin?
Yeah, I don't... I'm in elective mode, so I can select anything, but I can't click and drag anything to my action bar.
No, you can click and drag what's on your action bar around.
Oh.
Yeah. And then the other thing, too, is if you look at, like, if you have an active skill and you go and and you try to put that on that same skill on another hotbar, you'll now actually be able to do that. Whereas in the past, it just would straight up block you from doing that.
It put my normal attack there. That's intense.
Yeah.
Oh, but I still can't.
Normal attacks back. Kevin is super thrilled. Everyone else is saying, who cares? We're not even going to use normal attack.
Yeah, because it doesn't let me put my Frost Nova on a different spot. Like, I still only have 3 potential skill things open.
And I'm just showing people here how you can move the skills around whichever way you want, and then right-clicking on a skill will bring up this the skill UI. So it's great. It is fantastic. So happy that they made this change.
I don't have any complaints. It's better than it was before.
It is a lot better. It is definitely a lot better. Good job. Congratulations. So yeah, changes to the auction house. Now, this is something that's pretty cool too. The title of this podcast is Barbarians are OP, so deal with it. And this is alluding to the recent change. Barbarians and monks now have an innate 30% passive damage reduction. We're going to talk about this, why it happened and everything. Barbarians have an innate 30% passive damage reduction versus all sources, physical, magical, whatever. This damage reduction is applied at the same time as all other damage reduction effects, such as armor, but prior to shield block. So, 30% passive damage reduction.
That's pretty intense.
That is a lot. You know why it happened?
Lot.
I'll tell you right now. I'm assuming that the reason this happened was to give these melee-focused classes, the Barbarian and the Monk, the mitigation against magic that casters are going to have due to the recent intellect change. I'm assuming that this is somehow tied in within that. And people will argue, but wait, what the heck? Because Barbarian, he gets the armor increase from strength, and the Monk gets the increase in dodge.
Right.
So
Evasion.
how is what who so I understand like that's against the physical. Oh man, maybe it doesn't make sense because the casters also, they don't get that mitigation either. They don't get the armor. Well, then one last thing I need to mention too before people jump on my back. I'm also assuming this is a straight up fact that running through the harder difficulties as a character that has to be within melee range of something. Yeah. It's a lot more difficult because you take a lot more damage. You just do. Obviously the range classes, they will take damage from ranged enemies who are throwing spells. But for the most part, range classes, if played properly and spec'd properly, they can avoid almost all melee damage, except for the occasional immune to CC mobs that are really fast that'll just get right up on you that you can't really avoid.
Right, exactly.
But there is a whole slew of enemies, a whole slew of normal to slow-moving enemies that do melee damage that need to be right up on you, that the ranged characters will almost never get hit by if they're paying attention. Whereas the melee characters, they get hit from all of the ranged characters, plus all of the melee enemies. So they get hit from everything, whereas the ranged characters can avoid a lot of that damage. I'm assuming that this has something to do with why they got a straight up 30% damage reduction. Kevin, take it away.
I mean, I'm actually just kind of curious. I mean, that definitely makes sense. I agree. I'm assuming that that's probably along the same line of thinking that they had. But I'm kind of curious as to why they gave the Barbarian and the Monk the same exact amount. Now, if you think about it, the Barbarian is going to, yes, have a lot more armor. And although the Monk is going to have a lot more chance to dodge, it doesn't necessarily mean that the Monk will dodge. Yeah. So that in mind, the Monk will probably be taking a little bit more damage, and the Monk is pretty damn weak compared to the Barbarian. Barbarian's pretty tanky, and the Monk is just more like a glass cannon, more like a melee wizard,
right?
For the most part, just
right.
So I'm kind of curious as to why they gave him the same amount of damage reduction. I almost want to say that maybe the Monk should have. Well, I don't want to say the Monk should have 45% because that's almost half damage reduction. Like, that's huge. Maybe if the Barbarian was decreased to 15 or 20%, that would kind of make more sense. But I don't know. I'm just food for thought, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's a interesting change that they decided to make, and I'm assuming that the reason they did it is something along the lines of what you said and what I said, in terms of just overall they are kind of taking more damage, and they need ways to mitigate that, and maybe that's... I mean, what we have to assume, we have to realize that they're playing the later difficulties in their offices, Mm-hmm. They've got level 60 characters, and they're playing through Inferno. That's happening. So we have to assume that there was an evident issue when it came to survivability with these characters, and this is obviously of grave concern for people who are playing in hardcore difficulty, who would like to play a barbarian or a monk. If there were huge survivability issues in the later difficulties, this is obviously something that they wanted to change. And so just a kind of an across-the-board damage mitigation by 30% is what they felt was necessary. This is obviously open to tweaks and changes in the future. Nothing is really ever set in stone, but, you know, it happened.
That just means right at the beginning of the game, monks and barbarians are going to be hugely overpowered. In consideration to...
That's the way it should be, though.
So. Yeah, I guess that's true.
As far as I'm concerned, barbarians need to be the most powerful class.
I would have liked 100% damage reduction for the wizard, but whatever.
That's stupid. Wizards are stupid. That's the difference between the two. Wizards are stupid. Yeah. Barbarians are cool. All right. Next up, also, of course, I'm sure you guys just saw the video that was playing, which was a video that I released shortly before this podcast, and that was showing off some of the new skills and abilities that were added into the beta. Basically what happened is they reorganized the distribution of skills in terms of when you unlock them, as well as some rune effects, and with that in the beta being able to go up to level 13, we had some access to some new things, some pretty cool things as well. The wizard got the rune effect for the Ray of Frost that gives her that awesome looking AoE right around her, AoE damage, little thing where she surrounds herself in a snowball. And
she's so cute.
Yeah, and that was it's cool. Yeah, I was really stoked to get my hands on these and make that little video there. If you haven't seen the video, it's up on my channel. You can go watch it and learn about those newly available stuff. This was all stuff that existed in the game. It just wasn't available in the beta because of when they were unlocked. But now we got to see some of it. Also, the Barbarian got Seismic Slam. Baller. So cool. Have you seen that yet, Kevin?
No, I haven't.
That's just when he slams down his weapon and just creates that giant earthquake and a cone in front of him. Just like demolishes enemies. It's amazing. Also, the monk got the Wave of Light, which is the giant bell.
You're talking about the skills from the skill blog?
What? Yes.
You talking about the skills from the skill blog? Yes, I did see all of them.
Right. No, wait. What are you talking about? The changes in the beta.
This beta?
Yeah, they reorganized. Kevin hasn't even played beta yet. No, it just came out, so we'll forgive you. Yeah, they reorganized the distribution of some skills and runes, so there's new stuff available in the beta.
Didn't say that.
Yeah, it doesn't. I'm pretty sure it doesn't say it in the patch notes at all, but it did happen. It occurred.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah. So yeah, check out the wizard, because the wizard has Ray of Frost, which is runed, which is super awesome.
I was playing with Ray of Frost. I don't think that's new.
No, but the runed effect for Ray of Frost.
I did not see that.
Yeah. It makes that snowball. You didn't even know what I was talking about, and you were like, oh, yes, Dennis. I know about that.
Snowball, and I heard combined and stuff. I didn't know you said Ray of Frost. It just completely whoosh, right over my head.
That's too funny. Yeah, but it was cool. I was happy to take a look at those. Also, the witch doctor got sacrificed, blowing up his little doggy friends, which is great.
I think that used to be a passive, wasn't it?
No.
They had an X% chance to blow up when they died?
Oh, no. This is, you have control over blowing them up. Because I remember this from one of the first...
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so... pretty cool stuff there. Some pretty cool stuff there, dude. Some changes to crafting. Gold cost to crafted items has been reduced. The cost to train the blacksmith has been doubled. More crafting materials are now required to craft items. Chance to salvage rare, blah, blah. They just made crafting harder, basically. A heck of a lot harder. Everything is super expensive now. The only thing that got reduced is the gold cost to craft items, but at the same time, the material cost went up. So, that's kind of still an increase in terms of what you actually have to sacrifice. You're not paying as much gold, but you're also throwing a lot more mats into everything you make. So, yeah, they just made crafting a little bit more of a pain in the butt. Maybe it's for the better, for the long term. We'll see.
Well, probably. I mean, now that we think about it, there's no Mystic anymore. So, we only have these two different, artisans.
Templar got some slight changes. First of which is that the normal attack now deals 15% weapon damage. Also, Intervene Taunt has been reduced from 5 seconds down to 3 seconds.
I wonder if his normal attack used to do 100% damage. If that's the case, that's disgusting.
Yeah. That is pretty crazy. Item changes in the fact the game's economy has been altered a little bit. Changes to gold drops, item sale values, vendor cost, repair cost. Vendor costs are through the roof right now. Stupid little level 9 gear was costing me like 1,500 gold, like blue stuff. Don't understand how it was so expensive. It used to be like the most expensive thing I remember seeing from a vendor was like 700 or something like that. I'm just ballparking here, but
I mean, I wouldn't know. I don't ever get hit. I'm a wizard.
No, not the repair. I mean, like the
cost vendor
of actual
costs?
items
Yeah.
that they sell.
I mean, I just never bothered buying anything. I just found it all.
Right. No, I know, but every once in a while, like I'd start a new character or something like random. But yeah, it's costs are through the roof now when it comes to buying gear from vendors. We'll see how that plays out. Also, rings and amulets have now become available at higher levels. As a result, they no longer drop in the beta. Although the characters carried over, the characters that we had from before the beta patch are still there. You know, like I still have all my level 13s from the recent skill room.
Yeah, there was no wipe.
And
oh, so you still have all your rings and stuff?
Right, I still have all my rings and stuff that I had prior to the patch, hilariously enough. I read this, like, rings are no longer in the beta while I was looking at my Barbarian with 2+ damage rings. I was like, oh, really? I'll show you, Blizzard. Look at these rings. So, yeah, so when the game is released, that stuff's going to be dropping later. Blacksmith's wife now drops better loot. Who cares, really?
I just want to kill her even more.
The coolest thing, though, is that monsters deal more damage. Yes. I believe Bashok said, I believe Jay Wilson said it was doubled.
Yeah, actually, you're right.
Double damage. Nice.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah, that's really actually exciting. I'm really happy about that. Overall, the gameplay is just a lot harder because it seems like the gear stuff isn't, we're not getting as much gear early on. They got rid of rings and stuff, unless you had it from last patch. But the gear stuff is a lot harder to acquire. The vendor stuff is a lot more expensive to buy, and the monsters are doing a lot more damage. Overall, it seems like the scale and difficulty has gone up a bit here with this patch, so that is a good thing. Besides that, there were some bug fixes. I think there were also a couple of other unannounced changes, but that's the patch. Is there anything specific that you wanted to go back to or touch on, Kevin? I know sometimes I kind of blow through this stuff, but
I mean, not really, no. I mean, Diablo fans added a bunch of undocumented changes. I don't really think there's anything big with that. They just kind of added a bunch of images and stuff. They added new credits or a credit screen, which you haven't seen, difficulty markers, new launcher, which I actually thought looked kind of cool. Auction house images, yada yada yada. Really nothing special. Some new UI stuff.
Yeah, the UI actually, I think it's been scaled up a bit. It looks larger. If you take a look when you jump in next, Kevin, take a look at just the bottom UI. I think they scaled it up a tiny bit. That's what people have said, and then when I played it, I just believed what they said. I don't know if it's actually changed or just in my brain. It's like, oh yeah, they were right. It is bigger.
I'm on a widescreen monitor. I jumped on the game. I don't really think maybe it
wouldn't be anything. It's like not a huge change, if any, but. Yeah, again, it was said that some people had said that it got scaled up a tiny bit.
Yeah, they added new lore books in the game.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
So history of nutrition.
Minor tweaks and changes,
Yep, interesting stuff.
But yeah, as Jay Wilson said, this current iteration of the beta is basically what they plan to ship with.
Yes, and by that he means that they're announcing a release date next week.
Yes, exactly.
Obviously.
I see no other explanation.
It has to be.
Straight from the horse's mouth. You guys heard it here. All right, we're going to wrap things up with questions. I think we're ready for this. Kevin, you ready?
Yeah, I'm good to go. Actually, unless you already have a question, somebody emailed me something.
Let's do it. Go ahead.
It actually kind of got me thinking a little bit. He was just asking like PvP questions and whatnot. I don't remember the exact question, but I thought of a new question. When we were going over the skill UI,
it takes you forever to get to a point.
Shut up.
I just want to put that out there. Go on though. Continue.
Okay, I'll make this brief and to the point.
Thank you.
You think that the new skill UI could potentially be used in PvP? Now that you can potentially lock skills, no elective mode. You have to use whatever the hell they call it. By default, you have to use these 6 different categories. Now they could potentially lock PvP into forcing those different things. I don't know. Maybe it's not even a question or discussion.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting.
And it just kind of hit me because I was thinking, well, this guy's PvP questions, and we were talking about skill UI. So, I mean, it's just something else that they can potentially use to restrict PvP, to make it more fair. Now, they don't have to balance it, they just force you to not use elective mode.
Yeah, and the funny thing, too, is, because I've thought about this a lot, and people are going to rage down below, and they're going to say, Diablo 3, it doesn't matter, PvP, they said it's not going to be balanced. I know, but man, let a boy dream, huh? I was thinking about it, and if you look at like WoW arena tournaments, and the reason I'm going to WoW is because that's when it comes to the arena, that's the closest example that we have that actually kind of matches up. D2 dueling is not the same as the arena is going to be, and obviously there was no competitive D2 dueling. I'm not saying people didn't do it competitively. I'm saying there were not arena tournaments where people were winning thousands of dollars.
Right.
Just doesn't happen like StarCraft 2 is, or even WoW. WoW has tournaments too. Anyways, point being that they have like locked gear and stuff. So I would imagine a possible scenario a couple years down the road, if they ever get around to deciding to balance PvP and allow it to be competitive the way a lot of people want it to be. If that happens, they could just lock skills, kind of like what you're saying. They could give you, okay, these are the skills that you're going to have. Let's see what you can do with it,
Right.
So that's definitely possible. That'd be cool. I'd like that a lot. Got a question from Hunter. Some hardcore questions. Will there be a shared stash among hardcore characters along the same lines? Has anyone been able to make a hardcore character yet? I don't know if anyone's done it yet. As I stated earlier, last I checked, we weren't able to. Shared stash, that's obviously a yes, though, right, Kevin? That's the same as softcore, right?
What?
Hardcore characters get a shared stash.
Yeah. There's just
amongst
hardcore
other
stash,
hardcore characters. It's not like...
Right, hardcore characters have one, and softcore characters have a different one. Like, they don't share in between, but yes, hardcore characters have one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely the case. Yep, they're going to have a shared stash. There's not really anything to say about it other than that. And I once more, I don't know if anyone has been able to do it yet within the beta. I think people are getting a little too excited about the beta hardcore because, again, the beta hasn't changed. It's the same small amount of, very limited content. You're going to see the same stuff, and people weren't dying before, so I don't know that they're going to be dying now. So that you can see a hardcore death, unless it's on purpose, which is, I might just make a character and then have him die at like the front gate. Just call him Super Noob and have him die at the front gate just so people can see the hardcore death screen. That's I'd be fine with that.
It's a day in the life of Super Noob, the Diablo 3 machinima.
Question from Caleb. Do you think they keep switching the skill runes because they're trying to keep the hype up by giving us new content? Or are they switching the skills because they really think it makes the game more balanced? Well, that is a tough question because we don't really know. I guess it's possible that they're trying to show us new content.
I wouldn't. What? I don't even.
I'm assuming he's basically asking that are they swapping the skill runes around so that we can see some new skill runes to keep the hype going? That's possible. It's possible. I'm not saying that Blizzard would do it or that they are doing it, but hey, man, if they wanted to, that's something that they could do.
I mean, I guess theoretically they could. Yes,
because they could already have like their list and their order already planned. And then they're like, all right, let's just make a bunch of switches every couple of weeks before launch so that people can see new stuff. And then we'll just revert back to the final one at release.
I mean,
That's fine.
It's definitely within their power.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm going to say no. That's not why they're doing that. I mean, why don't we just change the game to Blackthorn and call it Blackthorn 3 and everybody plays a guy with a gun, 2D graphics, it's a side-scroller. Well, they're just trying to build up more hype, and they have the power to do that. Why don't they?
Sometimes, man, I don't know.
Sometimes I'm a smartass.
With
I agree.
Jay Wilson tweeting that what we see in patch 14 is what we are expecting to ship. Do you think we can expect a release date announcement next week? Next week? Why next week? Zachary, why are you assuming next week? This is what Kevin just said.
That's really funny.
I don't know, Zach. I am not sure that that's going to happen. I think it's possible, but I also thought that we were going to get a release date last spring, so it goes to show you what I know.
You know what? I'm going to throw this out there, and you can all quote me on it. We're going to have a release date by the end of the year.
Why do you do this to yourself? I guess that's fine. That's reasonable.
Hey, if I'm wrong, I'll probably just kill myself.
We're just going into dark places we do not need to go.
I got a pretty good question from Austin, and it actually relates to what we were talking about before. How do you feel about how you now have to care about the group that about the gear your group mates have? So how do I feel about how you have to care about the gear your group has?
Well, you don't have to anymore because of the magic find change and the gold find and the XP change.
If you have no magic find, if I have magic find, then I need to care about how much magic find you have.
Yeah.
So it makes me mad and it makes Dennis happy.
Yep.
It's basically what it boils down to.
I see no problem here then. Everything's working as intended.
Right, exactly. Buff rock and nerf paper, because I'm scissors.
Question from Jan. My guess, this is actually more of a comment. My guess for the rare/champion relationships with boss drops is that for certain areas preceding a boss fight, every champion pack you defeat, the percent for the bosses that drop better loot is increased. That makes perfect sense. So
that would actually be kind of cool.
Yeah. And I think that there was a lot more into that forum topic that I know I didn't read through.
I didn't go through the whole thread.
So I'm assuming that maybe something like this was brought up during that.
That's actually really interesting. Because that would also encourage people to kill bosses still.
Well, I think that the really cool thing about that though is that it makes people not want to rush the boss either.
Right, so now you're no longer trying to find the shortest path to the boss. Now you're just trying to get to the boss when you get to the boss. I guess that makes sense.
And see, and the great thing too. This seems very reasonable, and it seems like something they would do, given the fact that they have discussed trying to find ways to stop people from farming bosses and want to go through the entire content. And we have to keep in mind that these random and champion mobs, they're not always in the same place. They're very random, like every other mob pack. You know what I mean? So this would literally, if you want to get the best possible drop from a boss, it would force you to go through an entire zone to make sure that you have killed every last thing to guarantee you have gotten all of the champion and rare monsters to get the highest percentage loot drop from the final boss. That seems like a perfect solution to it.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of like one of those. It's like Inception. My mind was just blown. It's like people want to do this, so let's let them do it by not letting them do it. Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense though, because it also, as in terms of we obviously know Blizzard spent a lot of time on this game. Arguably more time than necessary. We know that Blizzard spent a ton of time on this game, and as a company who's poured a lot of time, money, love, effort into this game, they don't want you to just see the same boss chamber 1,000 times. They want you to actually fully experience all the content as much as possible. Those damn poor art asset people who make the very start of the level and those little quills that you defeat. They want you to see those quills because they spent a lot of time working on that model. And if you were to just walk by the quills every single time and always go to the boss fight, they would be sad. So let's not make the art asset members sad. That would be awful.
Yeah.
They add a lot of beauty to these games. Make sure they
because of them, we have such a great game. And actually a huge controversy a couple of years ago.
It's really funny. All right, regarding hardcore mode, this is going to be the last question here. Regarding hardcore mode, unless Kevin has another one, regarding hardcore mode, can you not just use a tune to buy items off the AH and real money auction house and put it in your stash so you can give it to your hardcore character? No, because the softcore and the hardcore shared stash are not the same, but you could do it on a previous hardcore character. Yes, that's true. So if you had a level 60 hardcore character and if you had a level 60 hardcore barbarian and for some odd reason you wanted to make a hardcore wizard instead of playing your barbarian, if for some odd reason you wanted to do that, you could, with the high level hardcore character, you could buy gear for starting a new character. That's nothing new either, because that's what people would do in the past. Or, well, it wouldn't be with a shared stash, but you could, transfer gear over to your new hardcore character. So
yeah, so I'd make a barbarian just so I can get enough gear to play the character that's really actually good and not, a piece of crap. I would make my sorcerer, and I was just trying to take cheap shots.
I understand.
But yeah, I mean, the point is, yes, you make a character to MF and find great gear so you can make a secondary character. That's what everybody's going to end up doing anyway.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, well then, I guess that is it. What a great episode of DiabloCast. That was actually over an hour, and I thought that was going to last about half hour. I did not know that we had enough to talk about. If you're just tuning in or you're tuned in halfway through, obviously, as you can tell, Jesse Cox was not here this week. Should be here next week, though. Actually, damn it. 1 minute before we go. I have to let everyone know that I'm not sure what's going to be happening with next week's DiabloCast. I don't know. Kevin, this is going to be news to you, too.
Are you going on a trip somewhere?
I'm going on a trip down to visit some friends in California.
Okay, so I guess I will see you there.
Well, if we happen to be going to the same... Are we allowed to talk about this?
I'm not sure.
If Kevin and I happen to be going to do the same thing in California, then we will see each other there. But next week's DiabloCast, guys, I am not sure. I apologize now. I'm actually having to leave on Thursday to be in California on Friday, coming back Saturday, and I'll be
on vacation to California those same days.
Saturday I'll be back super late, so it can't really happen Saturday. Maybe we can do it on Sunday. Would you be available on Sunday, Kevin? We can talk about this later.
Yeah, I'll be there.
I'll let you guys know. On Twitter and Facebook at some point early in the week what's going to happen. But the DiabloCast will not be on Thursday or Friday simply because I will just randomly be in California for some unknown reason. People are freaking out right now about what we could be doing. It's so funny. All right, well, that does it then. We will leave you with that. So for Kevin, this has been Dennis, and we will see you hopefully sometime next week. If not, then the week after for certain. Thanks so much for listening, guys. See you next time.
Take it easy, all you clueless fans.
That was such a tease. People are going to be so angry. I didn't even mean to do it like that.
Yeah, and I was going to bring it up after the show, but... yeah, whatever. And you know what I was thinking about it?
Secret, but not really.
I do take way too long to make a point. That's terrible.
Yes, you do.
I have to work on that, don't I?
Yes, you do. Even that sentence took too long.